Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I thought what we would get in today is a pretty simple flow, just moving with our breath. Inhale, exhale, do what we need to do. That sounded really airy fairy. Anyway, just a little bit of a flow. This class is yours. Do with it what you need at any point. If you need to rest, please feel free to rest, right? Child's pose, maybe downward facing dog feels like a pose of rest for you. Particularly as we're moving through the flows or the vinyasas, sometimes downward facing dog is a better choice than going through the chaturanga and upward facing dog parts. Alternatively, maybe you want to add on. Maybe what I'm teaching is too basic. And there's some moves in your wheelhouse that you would love to do, so feel free to add on at any point. I've got props for myself, blocks to bring the floor up to me, and a chip foam block to give my knees a little bit of padding. And that usually helps me anyway, at least at the start when I'm starting to get into the flow. Sound good? Okay, let's have fun. Let's start in child's pose if you're comfortable there. If you're not, you could lie down on your back and hug your knees in toward your chest. It's a similar stretch, but without all the compression on the knees. You might take the knees together to release a little bit more into the low back. I'm going to take my knees wide just to release a little bit more into my hips, but go wherever you need to go. You might have your arms extended in front of you. Try to let the elbows release to the floor though, so you get a little bit of ease here. Sometimes I really like bending my elbows and kind of wrapping the elbows around my knees and bringing my hands underneath my shoulders. I call this chicken wing. And I find it quite comfortable. Some people like wrapping their arms around their body or even bringing their palms in prayer behind their head. So again, go wherever you need to go. Maybe you bring a pillow underneath your torso. And then for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more, just like that. And then continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Allow your breath to settle. Allow your body to settle here. For some people, child's pose is a really comfortable position. For others, it gets a little bit constricted, a little bit pinchy. And that's fine. Both of them are fine. If you need to adjust your position, then go ahead and adjust. With every inhale, imagine your spine lengthening from your tailbone up to the crown of your head. And with each exhale, feel a gentle softening of your front body toward the floor. Inhale to lengthen through the spine, and exhale to soften. Couple more breaths here. And very gently, on your next inhale, start to press yourself up to hands and knees. Take your time. And we were in child's pose for a while, so you might want to step one leg out back behind you and then the other to release the compression on the backs of the legs. All right, and then let's meet in hands and knees. So knees underneath hips, toes can be tucked or untucked behind you, and hands outer shoulder width apart or wider. So what does that mean? When you look down, you want the outer edge of your shoulder to line up with the middle of your wrist. And then fingers spread nice and wide. You can see I take my middle ring and pinky fingers off the edge of my mat just to give myself lots of space for my shoulders. And then as you inhale, Lift your tailbone, hollow through the lower back, broaden through your collarbones. Maybe you look forward. Exhale, tuck your tailbone under, round through your spine. Really press the floor away from you. Inhale, dip the belly into cow, and exhale, round into cat. So a couple more of these undulations on your own time, on your own breath. And notice if you're really putting weight into the heels of the hands, can you send it a little bit more into the fingertips? And maybe there's some other natural movement here that would feel really good. Could be a little wag of the tail from side to side. Could be getting into bigger barrel rolls or circles through the chest. And we're going to be moving with a little bit more fire today. So release any last little bits of tension that you might want to release. Okay. And then slowly come back to center. Make sure those hands haven't migrated back towards each other. Keep them nice and wide as we tuck the toes and exhale, lift hips up and back into downward facing dog. Now at any point, again, this is your class. If down dog doesn't feel great for you today for whatever reason, then by all means come down to hands and knees instead. Otherwise, join me here. You might pedal the heels toward the floor. Or could you wag your tail from side to side even? Couple more breaths here just to settle. Now your heels might never reach the ground in downward facing dog. Your legs might never get straight, and that's okay, right? For me even, reaching the heels to the floor and straightening the legs brings way more tension into my low back, so I like bending my knees a little bit and having the heels lifted a touch. So just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing for your body. Keep pressing the floor away from you with your hands. Last couple breaths here. And then bend your knees, look forward, take as many steps as you need to come into your standing forward fold. Again, knees bent. You could sway a little bit from side to side. Maybe you bring blocks underneath your hands. You might clasp opposite elbows with hands or even interlace your hands behind your back. You might be moving, you might be still. Micro bend the knees at least. Last couple breaths here. And then release your hands if they're bound with fingertips to your shins or blocks or the earth. Inhale, little partway lift. Back the neck stays long. So resist the temptation to lift the chin and look forward. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more. And then bend your knees. Head heavy, arms heavy. Slowly start to roll up to standing. One vertebra at a time, slow as you need to go. If you'd like more support, you can use your hands on your thighs. And eventually coming up to standing, a couple loops of your shoulders up, back, and down. Once you get here, a little wiggle, noodle, or release. Feel the hug of the legs toward each other, tailbone to the earth slightly, belly button to spine, shoulder blades on your back. On your inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Maybe follow with your gaze. Exhale, forward fold, melt to the earth. Fingertips to shins, inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees enough that you can plant your palms flat on the earth. And then your inhale, step back to plank. So the top of a position, push up, either from your toes or from your knees, wherever you need to be. Squeeze your bum, squeeze the tops of the thighs. Draw your lower ribs up to the sky. Not hips, but lower ribs. So you're not dipping through the low back. Press the floor away from you a little bit more. And as you exhale, come all the way down to the earth. Little wiggle of the hips from side to side. Untuck your toes. Press the tops of the feet into the floor. So much so you feel your kneecaps lift away. Send your tailbone to the back wall, belly button to spine. Shoulder blades onto your back. On your inhale, lift your heart forward and up, baby cobra. Exhale, lower back down. Couple more of those. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, fold. Maybe you press up a bit more. Maybe let the hands hover, really using the back line of the body. And the next time you come back down, plant your hands, tuck your toes. Exhale, lift up and back. Downward facing dog or hands and knees. Bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat. Forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, right back down to the earth this time. Forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands. Inhale, hop, step, or float back to plank. Exhale, lower all the way or partway to the earth. Inhale through baby cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. One more breath here. Bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of the mat. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, right back down to the earth. Adding on, inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. On your inhale, step your right leg back. Back knee can be up or down. On your inhale, come up for lunge. One breath only. Exhale, fold forward. Plant your hands, step back, flow, or downward facing dog. So by the flow, I mean push up. Exhale, lower all the way or part way. Inhale through the back bend. And exhale, downward facing dog. Spread the fingers nice and wide. On your inhale, lift your right leg high, three-legged dog. As you exhale, draw your knee to your nose, shoulders over wrists, hips high. Inhale, back up. Exhale, right knee to right armpit or elbow, hips high. Inhale, back up. Exhale, draw the knee across to the opposite side, hips high. Inhale, back up. Exhale, step your right foot to your thumb. Back knee can be up or down. Inhale, come up for lunge for a few breaths this time. So you can shake it out, go off alignment, release whatever you need to release so that you can sink into the hips a little bit more. Whether or not the back leg is lifted, I really want you to squeeze the bum on the back leg, sink into the front knee. Maybe you reach your arms up to the sky. Grab hold of the sky with your right hand. Exhale, sweep your left hand to the earth, more or less in line with your front heel, so not too far back. And into a nice twist here. It could be as deep or as gentle as you want. Really wrap that bottom shoulder onto your back though. Don't let it jut forward. You might take big sweeping shapes with that top arm. Or be still. One more breath here. Exhale, plant your hands, tuck the back toes. Inhale, step to the top edge of the mat, standing forward fold. Exhale, release. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, right back down to the earth, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. On your inhale, step your left leg back this time. Back knee can be up or down. Inhale, up for lunge. One breath. Exhale, fold forward. Plant your hands. Step back, flow, or downward facing dog. On your inhale, lift your left leg high, three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose, shoulders over wrists, hips high. Inhale, back up. Exhale, left knee to left armpit or elbow, hips high. Inhale, back up. Exhale, draw the knee across to the opposite side. Inhale, back up. Exhale, step the left foot to your thumb. Back knee can be up or down. Inhale, come up for lunge again for a few breaths on this side. So again, go ahead, shake it out. Notice, if you're on the same leg forward as we were the first time, just switch them up. It doesn't really matter. But you want to get the release on both sides. Really squeeze the bum on that right leg, the back leg. Sink into the heel. Maybe the arms reach up. Maybe that back leg or the back knee is lifted. If so, squeeze the bum, squeeze the top of the thigh. Grab hold of the sky with your left hand. Exhale, sweep the right hand to the earth. Wrap both shoulders onto your back. Spiral the upper left ribs open to the sky. Again, you might be still. You might take big sweeping shapes with that top arm, or go wherever you need to go. Keep squeezing the bum on your back leg. Last breath here. All right, exhale, bring both hands to the floor. Inhale, step to the top edge of your mat. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, right back down to the earth. Heel and toe the feet together so your big toe mounds are touching. Leave a little bit of space between your heels. And on your inhale, sit into chair pose. All right, so hips low, heart high. Tailbone down slightly. Do you feel your belly button engaged toward your spine? Then use these big inner thigh muscles. Hug your legs toward each other like crazy. Takes all the pressure off the tops of the thighs. Now, if feet together doesn't feel good, then step the feet apart and send the knees out instead. Last couple breaths here. Arms can be up or in prayer or in cactus. Hips low, heart high. Exhale, release. Forward fold. Come back to hip width apart with the feet. Inhale, 3 breaths. Lift up partway, exhale, let it all go. 2 more. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step back, flow, down dog, or child's pose. Wherever you need to go for a few breaths. Particularly in these moments of stillness, can you find your breath again? It tends to be when the mind starts to wander. Okay, let's meet back in downward facing dog or hands and knees. On your inhale, lift the right leg high. 3-legged dog. As you exhale, step the right foot outside your right hand this time. Toes pointing out. And then maybe you gently come down onto the back knee. So you might need to adjust your stance a little bit here, but we're coming into like a lizard pose. Some of you might stay up high on your hands, or maybe you come down to your forearms. Now notice what that front knee is doing. If it really wants to wing out to the side, then keep a nice flex on that front ankle, and you can roll to the baby toe edge of the foot. Again, you might stay up high or come down low. For some of you, you might choose to take the left hand out a little bit wider and reach around with the right hand for the grab of the back foot. Wherever you need to go, last couple breaths. Okay, come up onto the toes on that back foot. Can you come up onto the toes on the front foot? Hug the front knee into your arm a little bit more. Maybe you de-weight the front foot. Maybe take a couple mini push-ups here. Inhale, sweep that right leg all the way up and back, 3-legged dog. And then open your hips to the right. Stack the hips, bend the top knee, hug the heel in toward the bum a little bit more. Keep pressing the floor away from you, wrapping both armpits equally toward the earth. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you turn that left hand out a little bit. Rock forward slightly to flip over into your wild thing. One more breath. Inhale, come back, 3-legged dog. Exhale, release that right foot to the floor. I said simple flow at the start, didn't I? Sorry about that. Okay, inhale, lift the left leg high. Exhale, step your left foot outside your left hand. Right, so heel could be on the mat, toes could be off the edge, and then gently release the back knee to the earth. start to figure out your position here, whether you choose to stay up high or come down low, or maybe forearms on a block. Again, my front knee likes to wing out to the side, so I'm going to flex that front ankle and roll to the baby toe edge of the foot. You could stay here. Maybe you reach around with the left hand for the grab of the back foot. Wherever you need to go. Last couple breaths. Okay, come back to hands. Tuck your back toes. De-weight the back knee. Come onto the toes on that front foot. Hug the front knee into your upper arm as much as you can. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you de-weight those toes. Maybe you do a couple little mini push-ups here. And then inhale, sweep the left leg all the way up and back. Three-legged dog. Open your hips to the left, but not the shoulders. Keep wrapping the armpits towards the floor. Lift that lifted leg a little bit higher and bend the top knee. Hug the heel in toward your bum. Maybe you stay here. Or maybe you turn that right palm out slightly, spot the landing for the foot, and then inhale. Come into your wild thing. All right, inhale, come back, three-legged dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. You might flow, stay in down dog, or take child's pose for a couple breaths. Go wherever you need to go. All right, come back either to hands and knees or to downward facing dog. Bend both knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat, standing forward fold. Take your feet a little bit wider here and bend your knees enough that your lower belly rests comfortably on the upper thighs. From here, you have a few options. One is fingertips to the floor. Second option, take your peace fingers and wrap them around your big toes. Draw the elbows wide. Third option, maybe you step the palms of the hands underneath the soles of the feet. Your toes could be right up at the creases of the wrists. You can even give yourself a little massage here. Same thing, draw the elbows wide. Maintaining that little bit of tension through the upper body. Maybe then you start to straighten the back of the legs a little bit. Breath slow and sweet if you can. And then gently release the bind on your feet, fingertips to shins. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Heel and toe your feet out even wider and on an angle, so toes might be off the edge of your mat. And on your inhale, sit down into squat or malasana. Now, this might not be where you want to be today, in which case, take your feet quite a bit wider. You can rest your elbows on your knees or thighs if you wish. Otherwise, join me in the full deep squat. Press your elbows into your knees. Send them out toward the baby toe edges of the feet a little bit. Can you de-weight your big toes here if your feet are flat on the earth? So you're not rolling into the arches of the feet. And then wrap your shoulder blades onto your back. Lift through the heart. Couple more breaths here. Okay, bring your hands in front of you and then kind of duck walk down onto hands and knees. Little wiggle, shake, or cat and cow. Depending where you are on your mat, you might walk your hands forward or shift your knees back. And then inhale, come into plank, either from your toes or from your knees. And then exhale, come all the way down to the earth. Little wiggle of the hips from side to side once you get there. If you can, bring your forehead to the floor to start. Press the tops of the feet into the earth so much so you feel your kneecaps lift away from the floor. Send your tailbone to the back wall. Feel your belly button engaged toward your spine. Wrap your shoulders onto your back. Inhale, lift the heart forward and up, baby cobra. And pause here. Keep the activations through the legs. Reach your arms maybe back along beside you. Palms can be up or down, or maybe you clasp your hands behind your back. Some of you might stay here. Some of you might reach your feet so far back that they start to de-weight as well. Try not to lift through the chin here, right? So looking down probably rather than forward. Maybe you start to reach your toes, your fingers back even more. And then exhale, release all the way down. One cheek to the earth. Deep belly breath to release through the lower back. And then roll over onto your back. Bring your feet to the floor, hip width apart, parallel-ish, close enough into your bum that you can tickle your heels with your fingertips. And then pressing your feet, your heels especially, into the floor. On your inhale, lift your pelvis and spine up and away into bridge. Now pause here at the top. It doesn't matter how high up you're lifting. Maybe you choose to walk on the outside edge of the shoulders and clasp your hands behind your back. Make sure the knees aren't winging out to the side. Right? So if you notice that happening, think of drawing them back into neutral. So the knees will never touch and bridge. Thighs might, that's just a body shape thing, but the knees will always be separated, at least hip width apart. Last couple breaths here. And then slowly, on your exhale, start to release all the way down. Pause for a couple moments if you can. And then draw your knees into your chest. Take a little rock from side to side. Massaging out the base of the spine, the pelvis. Let's end with a little twist. So maybe right arm out to the side first. You could shift your hips right a little bit to start with, and then exhale, lower your knees to the left. As always, any variation of twist that you'd like to take, whether the knees are stacked, maybe take a single leg twist or legs crossed. And go wherever you need to go today. You could always bring a pillow in between your knees or underneath the bottom one. Let the feet release to the floor. Last couple breaths here. On your inhale, return to center. Reset your pelvis and your spine. Left arm out to the side. Exhale, lower your knees to the left, or right rather. Again, even with twists, you don't need to do the same variation from one side to the other, particularly if you have any low back or SI tension on one side but not the other. Go wherever feels best for you. Take this time to allow your breath to settle, to let your heart rate come back down. And then inhale, return to center. If there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, please feel free to take it. Otherwise, find your final resting pose. You could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight in Shavasana. You might choose to rest on your side or a seated meditation or child's pose, wherever you need to go. And then once you found your pose of rest for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And let go of your breath control. Return to your natural breath. Notice if you're holding any last muscle gripping or tension. If so, let that go a little bit more as well. And take a moment to thank yourself for coming to the mat today, for giving yourself this time to move and to breathe. And stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.